This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
Well, it's about that time. I think this weekend might be the busiest weekend for fantasy footballers all over the country. Drafts are scheduled. My house will be taken over by sophomores in high school and seventh graders, all asking me questions that I don't know the answer to. So let's talk to some experts, some gentlemen from the great state of Arizona who have taken fantasy football to a new level. I think you've changed the game. The fantasy footballers zooming into the Extra Point podcast on Arizona's Family. And gentlemen, thank you for making time during a very busy season. Describe your days right now as you prepare everybody for their fantasy draft.
Oh gosh, yeah, we are in the middle of the busiest time of the year.
Good times.
It's great. Everybody's undefeated in fantasy, we always say. I think the hardest thing right now is just keeping up with all of the news at all times. It's, Twitter is always active with, there's camp hype and training camp news and injuries, and then you got preseason. It's trying to weed through all the coach speak and all of that fun stuff. So just making sure we're bringing the most accurate information forward and trying to figure out what's about to happen.
Well, we'll try to get you all of the answers over at Cardinals. We ask the questions, and sometimes there's
Nice.
3-word answers. But I have you in mind the entire time. So let's just get right to it. Well, actually, first of all, are y'all in a league together? Like, do y'all play like in a side league that there's like a bet with a punishment? Like, what are we talking here?
Yeah, I mean, we play in several leagues together, but really the primary league that started our podcast over a decade ago, the reason that this podcast exists is because of a league that we are way too passionate about. There's never been a dollar on the line, even though there's been tens of thousands of dollars spent just bragging over years of whoever is the champion. It matters.
Yeah, we're all in the red from that.
Oh yeah,
league.
you don't want to win the championship because then you just pour all the money in. But it's our pride and joy. We care because we don't just do this as analysts. We do this first and foremost for ourselves.
Yeah,
we want the best information so that we can win our leagues, and then we just try to help other people.
All right, so I would imagine you're getting this question a lot. With the first pick in your fantasy football draft, who are you taking? Is it Bijan? Is it Jamar Chase? Or would you maybe even rise up and take a flyer on like Saquon or Ashton Genty or something crazy?
I think it's kind of unanimous that it's Jamar Chase. While a wide receiver, it's pretty infrequent that they actually repeat as the overall number one fantasy wide receiver. I think you have to go back to the Antonio Brown reign of terror when he was on the Steelers. If you had him, it was excellent for your squad. But everything around him is the same. I mean, the fact that T. Higgins is back is actually a positive, in my opinion. You can't just only focus on shutting down Jamar Chase. Burrow is healthy in the offseason for the first time maybe ever. And it's just so with everything being similar, you should expect a similar output, maybe not as good as last year, but when it comes to just someone who can be number one and is safe to not just completely derail your season. Because look, we look at the first round and you think great things about all of them, but in reality, probably half those guys are going to let you down. So find where are the small edges that you can get a little bit more safe with that first pick. So Jamar Chase is it for us.
And is this all in the draft kit that you guys have out right now to help everybody out? Like how does that process work of what you put in the draft kit and what is in there written about a certain player, and then who has to do push-ups if they get something wrong?
Yeah, I mean it's competitive and cooperative at the same time. Like I think one of the things that makes it unique is it's 3 different points of view. We go through every single player, project the season, but we also keep it updated with the changing news, depth charts, draft, all that stuff. We kind of grew up in the fantasy era where you just went and bought the magazine off the shelf, but to produce that magazine, it gets printed months before and everything gets written up about these players, and then it's stagnant, right? You don't have kind of a living, breathing draft kit. And so that was kind of the impetus of us building that and kind of building the tools that we would want to use inside of a draft. So, we've got our kind of consensus sleepers and breakouts and picks like that. Every once in a while, there'll be a player that maybe 2 of us believe in, the other one doesn't, and we'll make sure that's very vocal in the write-up about that player. But for the most part, it's just trying to get the most holistic view of everybody and kind of find some opportunities for players to take advantage of their league mates who are kind of drafting according to these platforms. So, it's a tool that is always being updated, and we hope to get as much right as possible.
Yeah, and because we stat out every single player, if you're playing on the majority of platforms, if you're on ESPN or Yahoo or Sleeper, you can automatically import your roster and all your scoring settings go in. So maybe in certain leagues it wouldn't be Jamar Chase at number one. Maybe we would actually recommend Bijan more for your specific league, but that's automatic. So that's how we've built the tool over the last decade.
Well, and you don't need any marketing help with all of your downloads, and it's been very cool to see what you have pulled off right here in Arizona and really conquered the fantasy football podcast universe. But I have an idea for you. I don't know if you've made shirts or anything, but I think your shirt should say, "I am the magazine." You are the magazine now.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, that is we trying to evolve the space. We try to have a lot of fun with it, but we want you to win because winning is ultimately the most fun of all. So that's the goal. But come along for the ride. I mean, that's the joy of it is you just get to react over emotionally to so much in fantasy football.
That's what's so fun. Okay, so I walked around the newsroom just asking questions. Can I fire some questions your way from people that are drafting this weekend? And some know what they're doing, some don't. Okay. Scattaboo or Tetaroa McMillan? You can guess it was a Sun Devil and a Wildcat having that discussion.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you. That one's a layup. That's Tetaroa McMillan. Look, he was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft for a reason. And maybe the casual NFL viewer, the fan of the league, didn't realize what happened with Bryce Young towards the end of the year. It started disastrous for the Panthers and for Bryce. He gets benched. He comes back, and he starts really looking like the number one overall pick that he was just a couple years ago. So the Panthers situation, it's much better than people realize. And T-Mac he is a beast. He is a true number one wide receiver that the Carolina Panthers have been missing. And we expect him to go in day one and just command a whole bunch of targets. And
I have seen the ASU U of A fans wondering if it's like sacrilege for them to draft both of those guys in the same draft.
But
fine. You got to move forward.
Yeah.
It's time to draft the best team.
Well, a lot of Wildcat fans are saying Ja'Cory McCroskey-Merritt is now the biggest sleeper just because I think of his touchdown the other night on Monday Night Football. Is he on your sleeper list, or what do we have in the draft kit there as far as sleepers? And when do you take a sleeper?
You're bringing up a great name. Our episode this morning was sleepers, and we did bring up Bill Krosky. That he goes by Bill, and that he is in a situation where he's kind of been this late round drafted running back that not a lot of people knew about, to all of a sudden the presumed starter Brian Robinson Jr. is not even going to practice anymore, and he's definitely not going to be a Commander. So yeah, those are sleepers that you look for late into the off-season program where it's like, I see a path on a good offense. When you're looking for sleepers, you're basically talking about those double-digit rounds. You're in round 10, 11, 12 through the rest of your draft, and you're really wanting to swing for the fences. You're wanting to find the guys that they're not just going to be like, hey, this guy's definitely making the roster, and he's going to be on the field a little bit, and you're trying to find someone who has a path towards breaking out, towards being a surprise number one option for their team. And I think that he does fit the bill.
Literally.
Bill Krosky-Merritt as we had a fun time with him on the show today.
Oh, can't wait to listen to that. Roscoe, my dog, when we're walking tomorrow, I'll make him listen as well. I'll throw the AirPod in his ear. We got a busy night here on the Extra Point. Okay, here's another one. Kyler or Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, boy, the Kyler Murray fantasy football experience has been as up and down as the real-life Kyler Murray experience has been. But he is the pick here. Aaron Rodgers, no matter what success he has in Pittsburgh, we know he's not a mobile quarterback. Probably the most immobile quarterback at this point in time or close to it. So in fantasy,
Flacco's very upset.
All right, Joe Flacco
right
might be worse. But yeah, Kyler gives you upside because he can run the football. And it's so valuable in fantasy. The top 4 picks this year, Hurts and Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they all give you upside with the legs. Kyler has been it's been frustrating, and you kind of look at Arizona and you say, hey, maybe they want to win a little bit more running game and defense now. Maybe take a little bit away from Kyler, but he's still the better pick than Aaron Rodgers at this stage.
Oh, I've got a Joe Flacco comparison coming up too, but I do want to know about the Cardinals first because James Conner hit 30, and some people think that turns a professional running back into a pumpkin. Where do you have him on the list? And then can we just go down the Cardinals like Trey McBride, best tight end, Brock Bowers, and then MHJ? What do you do there?
James Conner is not aging like a running back. He's aging like a fine wine. He's getting better and somehow healthier. He played 16 games last year, and that's something he has not done for a long, long time. He finished as a top 10 fantasy running back. The team projects to be better. The defense projects to be better. So maybe you're winning more games, you're closing out the games, and he is certainly the closer on this team. I expect Trey Benson to get involved a little bit more this year than his rookie season, but that could just help, Conner stay healthy. I think the goal line opportunities will be there for James Conner, and he's probably one of the best values in fantasy because his age makes him a player nobody wants. So I think around the country, especially if you're not in specifically a league with a bunch of people in Arizona, maybe he'll be a little higher around here. But I think around the country, people are discounting him because of his age. They shouldn't. He showed no signs of slowing down, and his situation around him, I think, is better for fantasy production.
Sure, and to go to Trey McBride, he's unfortunately a difficult selection where he is going. In your drafts, you're spending either your late second round or your early third round pick. More like your second is where he usually goes, and he's right in between Brock Bowers, the breakout star for the Raiders, who probably projects to be maybe a little bit better than McBride, very similar. But then going around after those two guys is George Kittle. And I get it, the sacrilege of putting a 49er on your roster when you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, but when you play fantasy, you got to be able to put those things to the side sometimes. So that's where it's unfortunate of George Kittle could easily be as good, if not better, than McBride and Brock Bowers, who they're both studs. So I don't mind people drafting them. It's just when you're playing the game of fantasy football, it's all about supply and demand. And the standard team, you need 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers at least, and you only need the 1 tight end. So the supply and demand says I need more running backs and more wide receivers, and I don't get higher end guys if I'm spending my second round pick on Trey McBride. He's going to be an absolute stud, but for him to pay off for your fantasy football team, he has to be just outrageously good. Those touchdowns finally have to start coming in.
Yeah, and Marvin Harrison, just to close out the Cardinals, you look at him and everybody kind of thought it was kind of impossible for him to not be the bona fide number 1 last year. He got drafted in fantasy higher than any rookie in a long time, and he didn't deliver on a consistent level. He had these big games. If he scored a touchdown, it was great. There weren't a lot of those games. The Cardinals, the offense with Petzing, somehow not involving him in these easy short area targets. Mm-hmm. You need to see more of that. I definitely have a hesitancy. He looks like he came into camp, put on the weight,
yoked,
ready to go, maybe getting off the line of scrimmage, the competitive catches, all of that should be there. None of that will matter if the targets aren't there, and they need to work him into the offense in a way that makes things a little bit easier to get him going on a weekly basis. But I still think he's right. He's probably being drafted in about the right spot right now. And I think he has the potential upside that people expected last year without the price in fantasy. It's just going to really rely on Kyler being consistent on a week-in, week-out basis. I don't know why he's not. Maybe this year will be different.
Yeah, to speak to Marvin a little bit more, I think that he might not be the alpha wide receiver 1 we hope as Cardinal fans, or we hope when we draft him. But we do know he's going to be better this year than he was last year. I mean, he's going into year 2. He's still the clear number 1 target from the wide receiver room. And last year, he was drafted at the back of the first round
in fantasy,
in fantasy football. And this year, he's being drafted at the 3-4 turn. So you can get him with your 4th round pick. He's
Big
going
difference.
to be better this year and cost less this year at the same time. So I think he's actually a really good pick, even if he doesn't develop into, Jamar Chase. If he's just a really good wide receiver for the Cardinals, that's fine where he's being drafted.
Do you draft a backup quarterback on your teams generally?
I'm not in that category, no. Not as a backup, but I think at times we've advised, because there are so many potential high upside quarterbacks going later in drafts, you could take a tandem of upside players. So maybe you end up going Dak Prescott, and then you take Drake May from New England. If you don't spend a high draft capital pick on one of the big guys, you can take a tandem and kind of see if one of them gets off to a good start. The youngsters, right? Like, Bo Nix in Denver, maybe that player ends up being more of an upside, high-end quarterback than we'd expect. So you can tandem them later in drafts if the opportunity shows
Justin
up.
Fields is a perfect example of a guy you don't want to have as your only quarterback because he's not that good, but his fantasy rushing prowess will score a lot of points. So you pair him with someone like a Jordan Love. You don't have to spend a lot on either of them, but you've got you can play the matchups. And if someone happens to be that dude and have that special season, you've got him.
All right, so here's the next comparison. I'm really having a lot of fun with these, by the way. I hope you are too. Daniel Jones or Joe Flacco?
Oh, give me Joe. Give me Joe Cool, baby. I mean, he has been a gunslinger. He has something happened with Joe Flacco in his return to football and these other franchises where, he just wasn't a fan favorite in Baltimore, but he's entering that late, whatever it is, the late Kurt Warner, late Carson Palmer. He's willing to just go out there and sling it around.
Yeah.
And despite his lack of mobility, he knows how to play the position. So he has really given a lot. Like, we're thrilled he's the starter in Cleveland over, Kenny Pickett or any of the rookies because he represents 40, 45 passes a game potentially where, you put a rookie in there, they cannot support multiple receiving options where now David Njoku in Cleveland and Jerry Jeudy and other players, maybe Cedric Tillman, all relevant because Joe is in the backfield and maybe taking a few sacks, but it's good for fantasy.
Well, I look forward to the sleeper podcast that I'm definitely going to listen to. I might even go hide. I might just sit up here in the podcast studio and listen to it all day. Last one for me. Running back: Kamara, Nick Chubb, or Ashton Genty.
Oh, I mean, but between the three of those guys, you got to go Ashton Genty. But Genty's a late first round pick, so it's spicy. It's a little dangerous, so it depends on how you like to live your fantasy football life. Because it's not impossible. Saquon Barkley, his rookie season, absolutely dominant for the NFL and for fantasy football. Same for Ezekiel Elliott. It's just when you haven't seen a guy on the field and you're using your first pick on him, it can be.
It's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it takes a certain intestinal fortitude to steel up and be able to take that guy where he's going.
Yeah, and Nick Chubb, I mean, kind of might have an opportunity to start the year. Joe Mixon's banged up. We don't know his situation. Wish we had more information.
Right.
If I was down there, I'd ask for you.
Yeah. I'm thinking, you go Genty, Kamara would be the next man up with the pass catching, and then Chubb would be the bottom of that list.
Which offense in the NFC West are you most bullish on? Like, would you go Niners with Purdy, Ayuk?
I want to be bullish the most on the Rams.
I think it's the Rams.
With Kyron Williams and Puka and Devontae Adams. I also think they've got a great new rookie tight end. That offense looks set to succeed, but they are resting on the shoulders of a bad back in Matthew Stafford. So they could crumble at any time. Like, I think if Stafford's out there, they're a great offense. And I just am so scared. I don't think Stafford plays 17 games. As a Cardinal fan, I hope not. As a fantasy football fan, please play 17.
Yeah, the 49ers have a great schedule ahead of them. Even though they've lost Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk for a part of the season.
Currently every backup running back on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, their practice field it's tilted or something. I don't know what's going on, but you've got a lot of injuries there, and they're really dependent on the big three right now, McCaffrey, Purdy, Kittle. But their schedule is a last place schedule. So they lucked into that with the, I guess not lucked into it. They sucked it.
They lost into it.
But at this point, as Cardinal fans, we don't like to see that schedule where they're favored in so many games, projected to win so many games. But yeah, it's kind of wide open in the West. What is Arizona on the offensive side of the ball? Well, Sam Darnold lead a good offense with Clint Kubiak in Seattle. That's why I think we'd all give the edge to the Rams with a healthy Stafford, because we've seen the most of those players and pieces in Sean McVay. But it does seem like a wide open division. I think any team could win it, honestly.
Does McCaffrey's injury history, does it scare you off at all?
It scares a lot of people. I feel like it's pretty much just like 50-50 of there are people who refuse to draft him. There are people who will. of the show. I'm kind of the one who's the most willing to just forgive and forget because he is so dominant. And it's like the red flag for Christian McCaffrey is health, and it's a big one. You're talking what? It's three of the
last 5 years.
5 years has been absolutely devastating. The other two, you were in the championship because of Christian McCaffrey, where the other guys like Robinson might feel safer. But if Robinson's healthy and Christian McCaffrey is healthy, McCaffrey is outscoring Bijan Robinson by probably multiple points a game. So it's all about risk tolerance for him.
Oh, it's so fun. And thanks for letting us climb in your fantasy brain here and just pull out some data and everybody we'll put the show notes into the podcast. And so let us know how we can get the draft kit and where we can find the three of you leading up to the opener and every week.
Yeah, I mean, ultimatedraftkit.com if you want to check that product out. We are recording podcasts every single day of the week, all the way through the end of the season. So we are here to walk with you, cry with you, hopefully find some celebration with you and get you through the season. So because you don't win the league at your draft. You set that foundation, but then you got to make a lot of adjustments through the year, and we're here to help you out.
Yeah, so it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just wherever you listen, or we're on YouTube as well.
Real quick, Cardinals get a big win. Kyler hits MHJ. You're playing against them. With Cardinal fandom, what is the emotions like? What is it like to be around the three of you on an NFL Sunday?
Oh boy, yeah. I think we'll all be pretty darn happy that the Cardinals get it done. I think we look first on Sunday. Did we say anything ultra stupid to our listeners?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, our projections they play out best as possible for the listeners. Behind that, I think the Cardinals and our own team. It's a mix and match. If the Cardinals season's over, then we don't care anymore.
Yeah, it really comes down to can we be a team that matters? Because I've talked about this a lot this offseason. I miss the Cardinals mattering. It's just been too many years, between
we're hurting,
times
man.
where
the
it's
Suns, the Cardinals.
I'm
the
always
D-backs.
rooting for the Cardinals, but it usually hasn't mattered. We're not good enough to truly be a playoff contending team for several years, and I feel like we've got the roster for that. So at least at the beginning of the year, I'm gonna be Cardinals first here.
Yeah, it's like when AJ Green didn't turn around. It kind of just he fell down.
We
We
were there, brother.
We had a 10-leg parlay. We were 9 out of 10.
True story.
Just turn around.
Any other road shows planned? I mean, you taking this thing on the road? Is it going to be like the next College Game Day?
Oh boy,
not this year. Not this year. That's way too much work.
Fair enough. It's pretty good work to be in Scottsdale talking fantasy football. Hey, we are proud of what you built for our great state and taking it all out of the world. Thanks for spending time with us here, and have a great draft if you're doing a draft this weekend and a great football season.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.